You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God.
Tu es l'image de Dieu.
I hold you in my heart.
Tu es l'image de l'amour.
You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God.
Tu sei la luce di Dio.
I hold you in my heart.
Tu sei il volto dell'amore.
You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of love.
The face of love.
I hold you in my heart. You are my family.
You are my family.
You are the face of
love. The face of love.
You are the face of love.
The face of love.
I hold you in my
heart. You in my heart.
You are my family.
You are my family.
You are the face of love.
The face of love.
You are the face of God.
The face of God.
I hold you in my heart.
You in my heart.
You are a part of me.
A part of me.
You are the face of God.
The face of God.
You are the face of God.
Eres la luz de Dios.
I hold you in my heart.
Eres la cara del amor.
You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. You are the face
Tu
of God.
sei la luce di Dio.
You are the face
You
of
are
God.
the face of God.
You are the face
Tu
of
es
God.
l'image de Dieu.
You are the face
You
of
are
God.
the face of God.
You are the face
Tu
of
sei
God.
la luz de Dios.
You are the face
You
of God.
are the face of God.
You are the face
Tu
of God.
ruh e khudayi.
You are the face
You
of
are the face of God.
You are the face of
Eres la luz de Dios.
You are the face of You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God.
Tu es l'image de Dieu.
I hold you in my heart.
Tu es l'image de l'amour.
You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God.
Tu sei la luce di Dio.
I hold you in my heart.
Tu sei il volto dell'amore.
You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of love.
The face of love.
I hold you in my heart.
You in my heart.
You are my family.
You are my family.
You are the face of
the face of love.
You are the face of love.
The face of love.
I hold you in my
heart. You in my heart.
You are my family.
You are my family.
You are the face of love.
The face of love.
You are the face of God.
The face of God.
I hold you in my heart.
You in my heart.
You are a part of me.
A part of me.
You are the face of God.
The face of God.
You are the face of God.
Eres la luz de Dios.
I hold you in my heart.
Eres la cara del amor.
You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. You are the face
Tu
of God.
sei la luce di Dio.
You are the face
You
of
are the
God.
face of God.
You are the face
Tu
of
es
God.
l'image de Dieu.
You are the face
You
of God.
are the face of God.
You are the face
Tu
of
sei
God.
la luz de Dios.
You are the face
You
of God.
are the face of God.
You are the face
Tu
of God.
روح خدایی.
You are the face
You
of
are the face of God.
You are the face of
Eres la luz de Dios.
You are the
Good morning, and welcome to Spiritual Life Center, a church that love is building.
Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
Let us open with prayer. We come together knowing that the creative power of the universe is in us and around us and among us, here and now. And the Spirit of life is inviting us to expand our mind, to think largely, abundantly, and freely. And we do, loving Spirit. Embrace you, align ourselves with you, and place our mind at oneness with universal mind so that we are open and receptive to your magnificence flowing into every area of our lives. And we are eternally grateful that your presence is with us, not only here and now, but forever and always, through the Christ that lives within each one of us. And so it is. Amen.
This is the day that the Lord has made, We will rejoice and be glad in it, This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. In the silence, there is a sacred place, a secret meeting place. Love is there. In the silence, where every color blends and every rainbow ends, good is there. In the light, now you find that you know peace of mind. In the silence, your path is paved in gold, and all your dreams unfold. Love is there, peace is there, truth is there, God is there.
As we prepare for meditation, I invite you to take a deep breath. Allow your breathing to let you relax. Ask your mind to be still as you remember to turn within to that still, quiet place within us where all of our answers are. Within each of us, dwelling within each of us, is the very presence of the living God. So we continue to relax and just let go. Whatever cares or concerns we may have come in with, allow them to fade away. For within us, at the very depth of our being, the source of our wisdom lies. Let us ask ourselves the great questions, and we call forth from them the profound answers. What is the purpose of this life I am living? We allow ourselves to listen and remember. We have been created in God's image to love, to serve, to remember and awaken to who we truly are. Breathing even more deeply, we drop deeper into the silence, to the still place that the ancients have called the Holy of Holies. And we do so in the silence. There is a place within us that remembers, that knows. Within each of us carries a great life, with real gifts to give, to share, that will make a difference at this time in the world. And so we continue to open to this great love that each of us is, to continue to open to the unique and wonderful gifts that each of us carries. As we take time each day to listen, we come to see how each one of us together can have a part in creating heaven on earth, as we remember to love, to serve, and to trust. When we remember that God is in every moment of every circumstance, and so we choose to remember and to remember love. We choose to remember that all that we give to ourselves. Let us remember love as we open our hearts in gratitude for our lives, for our loved ones, for our spiritual community. We send a prayerful thought to the children and teachers in all parts of the world. We remember those who have special needs who may be right in this room. For all of the good that we have, for all of the good that is yet to come, we say in advance, thank you, thank you, thank you, God. And now let us sing together the words that our brother taught us to sing, the Lord's Prayer.
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen.
Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Upon the mountain my Lord spoke, out of his mouth came fire and smoke. Looked all around me, it looked so fine, till I asked my Lord if all was mine. Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. A Jordan River is chilly and cold. It chills the body, but not the soul. There ain't but one train upon this track. It runs to heaven and right back. Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Down in the valley when I feel weak, it's when the devil usually speaks, because he's crafty and full of lies. I need the Spirit to keep me wise. Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray.
Good morning. This morning I'd like to talk to you about the power of faith. This is the cover of a recent church bulletin, and it quotes Hebrews 11:1, which says, "Faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." In unity, faith is the first of our 12 powers, and it is the power for the month of January. And just like all of our powers, faith is in our control. It is as impotent or as powerful as we choose it to be. And if our faith is only in what we can see and hear, then we're limiting our faith. But as our faith grows, we can get to the point where we're able to see beyond appearances, beyond the physical. But what do we do if we're in a place where for some reason we feel like our faith is being tested or our faith has somehow been diminished? Well, the first step in regaining or strengthening our faith is through prayer and meditation. We take time for ourselves. We let go and we allow a presence greater than ourselves to help us. And as we do this, we begin to raise our own consciousness. And as we do that, we come to a higher realization of who we really are. We come to know that we are individualized expressions of the divine. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Now, the disciple representing faith is Peter. He was a fisherman, but Peter gave up his livelihood to follow Jesus. And before he became a disciple, he went by his first name, which is Simon. And it wasn't until afterward that his name was changed to Peter. And if we look at the Gospel of Matthew, and it is chapter 16, verses 13 to 18, Jesus asks his disciples, "Who do people say the Son of Man is?" Now, you know what it's like when you're asked a question you didn't expect and you aren't quite ready to answer, right? Well, the disciples kind of looked around at one another and, maybe they shrugged a little bit. And finally, one of them answered and said, "Some say you are John the Baptist, but others think you might be the prophet Elijah." Still others say you might be Jeremiah or maybe one of the other famous prophets. So Jesus waited until the disciple had finished speaking, and then he asked another question. But who do you say I am? And this time, Simon Peter answered without hesitation and said, You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God. Jesus turned to this disciple who just spoke, Simon Peter, probably took him by the shoulders and gave him a nice little squeeze and said, Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father in heaven. And I tell you, you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church. Now, a rock is strong, right? Immovable. But Peter? As a disciple, Peter was far from perfect. He could be impulsive and sometimes afraid and confused. So, how is it that Peter is the disciple chosen to represent faith? Let's take an example of something that happened later in Peter's discipleship, after his name had been changed to Peter the Rock. Peter and the others saw Jesus walking on the water. Every one of them, including Peter, thought it was a ghost and they were scared. Matthew 14:27-31 puts it like this. But immediately Jesus spoke to them and said, Take heart, do not be afraid. And Peter answered him, Lord, if it's you, command me to come to you on the water. And Jesus said, Come. So Peter got out of the boat, started walking on the water, and came toward Jesus. But when Peter noticed the strong wind, he became frightened, and beginning to sink, he cried out, Lord, save me. And Jesus immediately reached out his hand and caught Peter, saying to him, You of little faith, why did you doubt? Even later, after Peter had seen the miracles, when Jesus was arrested, Peter is the disciple who denied even knowing Jesus. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Yet Peter is the disciple representing faith. Well, at first, Peter representing faith didn't make any sense to me at all. But after I thought about it, I came to the conclusion it's because we can learn a lot about faith from Peter. You know, it's not like we're born with faith. If truth be told, we probably have more doubts most of the time than we do faith. And our faith can be tested. We can choose to have faith, but it's not automatic. We don't just wave a magic wand and poof, all of a sudden all of our doubts and fears have disappeared. Similar to planting a garden, faith is grown. We plant a seed, we water it, we keep it free from invasive weeds, we fertilize it and give it nourishment. Through care and cultivation, the plants develop to maturity. And then, even a single plant gives us so much bounty, there's more than enough to share. And that's how it works with faith. And it's Peter who shows us that. He wasn't perfect, but his faith grew. And it took some pretty tough lessons before Peter actually became the rock that Jesus said he would be. You know, after Peter denied even knowing Jesus 3 times, he reached a pretty good low point. Have you ever done that? Messed up, not just a tiny bit, but messed up a lot. It's like, oh no, this time I really did it. Totally botched things up. And just like Peter, those low points, the times we think it just can't get any worse, those hit rock bottom moments are often the turning points. And after Peter realized what he'd done, he wept. I mean, he probably cried buckets. And then what did he do? He split. He took off. He just ran away. And it's okay. Sometimes we just need to get away. We need to have some time to think. We need to spend some time alone. Now, the Bible doesn't tell us exactly what Peter did when he was off by himself, but my guess is he did a heck of a lot of self-reflection. Did you know it's estimated that we have more than 50,000 thoughts running through our minds every day? And more than half of them, 25,000 plus, are negative. We're not sitting there thinking about sunshine and roses. It's more like thunderstorms and thorns. But a lot of us, too many of us, we don't take care of ourselves. We never bother to take the time to think about what we're thinking about. It takes time and effort to even become aware of our thoughts. They just slip through unnoticed. But the way we grow, the way we water and fertilize ourselves, is by taking the time to learn more about ourselves. By taking the time to learn about ourselves, we get to know ourselves better. We get to better understand ourselves. We learn to ask ourselves productive questions. Instead of asking why, we learn to ask what and how questions. And why do we do this? Because the why questions tend to stir up negative emotions, and they often keep us trapped in the past. The what and the how questions engage our curiosity and help us put our focus on the future. We ask things like, what can I learn from this? How will this make me a better person? What matters most to me? And how can I do better next time? So about a week after Jesus died, Peter came back from his self-imposed solitary confinement, and he was still feeling pretty down about what had happened. So he decided to go fishing. And the other disciples said, "Oh, we'll join you." So after a long night of fishing, their nets were still empty. When the sun came up, there was somebody was standing on the shore. And somehow this person seemed to know that they hadn't had any luck with their fishing and called out to them and said, cast your net on the right side of the boat. So they did. And they caught so many fish, their net was ready to break. It was kind of like, you ever heard that old Yogi Berra saying, it was like deja vu all over again? Well, that's what it was like for Peter. And he remembered something very similar to this had happened when he and his brother Andrew first met Jesus. And now Peter knows. There's no doubt in his mind about who's on the shore. So Peter jumps overboard, swims to where Jesus is standing, and embraces him. Jesus, he takes it a little cool. He cooks breakfast for the disciples, but after they've eaten, he takes Peter aside, and Jesus and Peter have a little heart-to-heart. And just like Peter had denied Jesus 3 times, Jesus asks Peter 3 times, "Do you love me?" And 3 times, Peter professes his love for the Lord. And at this point, Peter is forgiven. He feels forgiven. His faith is restored. And now he is rock solid. And after that day, whenever Peter's faith was tested, he stayed strong, unwavering. He truly became the rock on which the Christian church was founded. You know, our faith won't necessarily take away all our challenges, but it will help us make it through the challenges. Having faith doesn't mean there won't be any storms, but it's faith that will allow us to remain calm in the middle of the storm. When our faith is strong, it allows us to see beyond appearances. Like Peter, we finally come to understand there's nothing we've ever done or could ever do to separate us from the unfailing, unconditional love that is always there for us. We demonstrate our faith when we know in our heart of hearts the truth that God is love. We know the divine is good all the time. It is our faith we turn to for reassurance when we're going through the less than wonderful stuff. Our faith lets us know that everything truly is working together for our highest good. When we learn to live our lives, our day to day, moment to moment experiences in faith, we learn to deal with the ups and downs differently. Rather than seeing things as problems and obstacles, we view them as opportunities for learning and growth. We don't worry or get upset. We might not know exactly how things are going to turn out, but we know somehow it's going to be just fine. When I was preparing this talk, I remembered a story I'd read quite a few years ago in a book by Wayne Dyer, one of my favorite authors. And I wanted to find it. And I had a vague recollection of what the cover of it looked like, but I could not remember the title, and I had no idea where. I have books in my office, I have books on the main floor, I have books in the basement. I had no idea where this particular volume might be. So I looked on one shelf after another, trying to find what I wanted, but I just kept gathering up books by Dr. Dyer, and I picked up a few other ones just in case. And there was this one book, and this one right here happens to be Your Sacred Self, and it has a whole bunch of tabs in it, about a dozen or so. And so I thought to myself, well, maybe there's something in here. So I opened this book, and I opened it to one of the tabs, and it was really interesting because what I read when I opened it was faith as an antidote for fear and doubt. How about that? And underlined and highlighted in yellow was this paragraph. Understand that faith is a decision that you make internally. As your decision becomes a knowing, you will begin to sense the sacred energy that flows through everything in the form of divine intelligence in the universe. It's a mental decision to know that everything is on purpose. Faith then becomes an energy that resides within you at all times. When we have faith, we know in our heart of hearts there isn't even a shadow of a doubt. We know all things are working together for our highest good. And guess what? They do. Things just seem to fall into place. You're in the right place at the right time. The person that you wanted to talk to calls you, the right and perfect book practically falls off the shelf to the right page, and the answers you need suddenly appear. If we looked, if we look for the good, if we expect to find it, good is exactly what we find. When we learn to live in faith, regardless of circumstances, there's no need for us to worry, get upset, or even frustrated. We can be still and know it's all going to work out perfectly. We come to the point where we understand, where we know we're co creators with Divine Spirit. And then when we say, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, we mean it. The thing is, just like Peter, we're going to have some setbacks along the way. And developing that kind of faith doesn't necessarily happen overnight. We have to learn to think about what we're thinking about. Like Peter, we have to take time for self reflection. We have to remind ourselves who we are, individualized expressions of God. And just like our muscles grow stronger when we exercise, when we strengthen our faith, we do it through practice. We develop the habit of listening to the part of our nature that tells us, you got this. Or better yet, the part that tells us, God's got this. Every time we lift that weight, our muscles get stronger. And every time we tell ourselves we can, our faith gets a little bit stronger. And as we do this over and over, again and again, our faith grows more and more. Then one day, we notice it's easier to look for and recognize the good, the abundance, the peace, the joy, the love, all that great stuff that's right there in every person, every situation, every experience, every time. We begin to recognize and become more and more aware of our own inherent divinity. We can look in the mirror and say, I am an individualized expression of God, and know it's true. Living inside each and every one of us is the all good. The divine is who we are. It lives and moves and has its being in and through us. Our faith helps us get to the place where we understand we're it. Divine beingness experiences life through us, as us. And the more we practice that holy presence in our daily routines, the more powerful and potent it becomes. When we learn to rely on faith, our faith is strengthened and renewed. It's not what happens, it's how we respond to what happens that makes all the difference. It's up to us to stay in faith, to remain open and learn what there is to learn from the experience. And only then can we find that pearl that is definitely hidden in the oyster. So let's learn from Peter. We don't have to be perfect. We're gonna make mistakes. We just have to learn to stand solid on our rock of faith. Challenges are just the universe's way of letting us know there's something there right in the middle of that tough stuff for us to learn. No matter what, we can choose to have faith. We can choose to have the faith that something good is going to come from whatever it is we're experiencing. That in the end, we're going to be better or better off than we were before. And when we have that kind of faith, everything truly is better. And I love being here with you today. And I hope you take this with you and use it in your life and every day. Namaste.
Thank you, Eli Santa Maria, for this special organ rendition of the beautiful Exodus. And thank you, Nancy Ingalls, for your marvelous singing in today's service. And Anita Koch, your message today makes us ever more aware of the vital power of faith available within each one of us. We are so pleased that each of you could join us this morning, and we invite you now to join in our prayer of sharing. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. We would ask that you support Spiritual Life Center with a donation to this ministry. And if you are able, there are 3 ways that you might do so. The first is through online giving at our secure website, www.slctroy.com/give. The second is to send a check to Spiritual Life Center, 41340 Fox Run Road, number 106, Novi, Michigan, 48377. And the third way is to call my cell, 248-925-6214, with credit card information for a one-time charge. Well, we welcome anyone who is joining us for one of your first times and would invite you to join our email list by visiting our website, www.slctroy.com. And up in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see Join Email List. If you just click on that and insert your name and email address, we will be able to send you weekly announcements that provide information on the activities of the church and provide you the link to the upcoming Sunday service, as well as any upcoming classes. If you have a prayer request, you may send these to ronaldfscott@gmail.com or call my cell, 248-925-6214, and we'll send these on to our prayer team of 30 or more persons who are maintaining a positive, powerful prayer vision for the well-being of you and your loved ones. And we will also forward those to Silent Unity, where they are prayed over for 30 days. And you may call Silent Unity yourself by calling the number on your screen, 1-800-NOW-PRAY. If you weren't able to watch one or more of Reverend Martha's marvelous Zoom class that concluded this past Tuesday, Learning to See as the Mystics See, this can be seen at any time on YouTube by going to SLC Troy and looking for the class under that. Next Sunday, I will be providing a message focusing on how each of us can be at peace with all persons and love every person, so that the conflict that divides our society can work toward being resolved. Next week, we will be sending you in the weekly email an attachment with the financial results of Spiritual Life Center for the year 2021. And then on Sunday, February 27th, the last Sunday of February, following the morning service, everyone will be invited to a Zoom annual meeting. You are invited following this service, immediately following the service, to our virtual coffee gathering, where all of us have the chance to connect socially. But now, let us join together in our peace song and benediction. God bless.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let me walk with my family in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
And now as you go forth, know that the light of God surrounds you, the love of God enfolds you.
The Lord bless thee and keep thee.
The power of God protects you.
The Lord make his face to shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee.
The presence of God watches over you.
The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee and grant thee peace.
Wherever you are, God is.
Amen. Amen.
Go your way rejoicing. All is truly well.